So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about the inspiration behind this piece.
First of all, some of the visuals is because there is research that the ancient Egyptians might have like done some like drugs and whatnot. But apart from drugs, like even if you're not drug induced, if you are thirsty, if you're fatigued, your mental state and physical state start to like, and especially since we have talked many times, right? The Egyptians, like they worship like cats were worshipped as gods. That's why we have the cats thing, and they were very religious. So that's why there's like a very religious undertone in the poetry, because like we've seen it in like Judeo-Christian religions, right? Like the whole Abraham, Moses, and even Muhammad were all in the desert, right? Doesn't that also like similarities to like ancient Egypt, like to travel to another place? They didn't have cars or planes, so they had to go from east to west. So one thing we really wanted to focus on that is like that whole journey from going from Eastern Africa to Western Africa, because a lot of people when they think of like ancient Egypt, they only think about the Egypt part. But what if they were actually traveling? So, for example, you saw spiders in there. So, spiders is actually part of Ghanaian folklore from Anansi, the spider god. And the spider god, what was his tendency, his personality? It was the spider god of trickster. So like that's why you see a lot of colors and a lot of movement, because if you're in the desert, the last thing you want to engage with is the god of trickster, because mirages, right? So we're playing with that notion that like a mirage can be a trick. Okay, some of the voices you're hearing might not be the real voice. And what else? Then you see floating objects, which are also artifacts, because as you know, like I have watched a lot of like Stargate, even if you watch like some anime like Yu-Gi-Oh, or even in the new John Wick, whenever you travel to like ancient Egyptian land, there's always an artifact or a master or someone that you're embodying. So that's where the floating objects are, like you are on a quest to get some stuff. And to make it futurism, all of the elements were coded. So the visuals, the sound, and the poetry were all manipulated in one way or another by different coding environments that are creatively. And just to like run off a list, as I explained, so for like the 3D models, I use Paint 3D, I use Kaleidoscope, use some video software. And for the music, I use this live coding language Sonic Pi, which is like you can live code and creative code. And then I use Hydra to mimic that grainy, sandy experience that you will expect in the desert. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And in terms of like inspiration, was really just to mix Eastern Africa Egyptian to like the Western Africa. And Mano is a river in Sierra Leone. So like whenever you journey, you're trying to hit a river, right? Because that's the first thing you want to do when you're traveling. You try to drink water, right? Even if you're on a plane, as soon as you get off, you're trying to get a bottle of water. Most of the time it's expensive at the airports. So play with that like thing, like where do you get your source of water? What are you doing? And play with the punk element, because like I think someone mentioned earlier steampunk with like Africans. And then I was also thinking that you could also think about like the whole spirituality concept of Africa. If you ever watched League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where like the main Sean Connery, where his characters actually technically cannot die because he's protected by the continent. So riff off some of those stuff, and then poetry is how we explain.
Barren grainy lands encompasses a traverse through this harsh wasteland, covered by horror's grace, wild runs, run show jogs on frolics. Not all seen is as it seems. Beings dim when Osiris agents present presence top floor nonetheless. Freshness of memory quench the thirst from horror's vex. Here resides a Manuel, a people left after the great clash, governed by God's western net. Caught in a vice, heavy price is paid. Remains laid, carcass displayed around outbounds. Invisible dome protect, props inspect, looking for a moment not to disrespect as all eyes are watching. The desert is prowling beside me. Which crop it should be snatching, carry in batches while in styling to wander into the desert. With the sand towards the eyes, acting like a flirt, a pest that is blocking your line, hindering your ability to be alert, wandering. It takes a lot of energy to exert. Covered by horror's grace, wild runs, racial jogs on frolics, not all seen is as it seems. Beings, beam. When Osiris agents present presence top floor, nonetheless, the freshness of normally quench the thirst from horror's vex. Vast spread from end to end through barren grainy lands. Vast spread from end to end through barren grainy lands. Encompasses a traverse through this hatcheries. Vast spread from end to end through barren grainy lands. Encompasses a traverse.
Vast spread from end to end through the barren grainy lands. And compasses a traverse through the hatcheries land. Covered by horror's grace, wild runs and soldiers.
Vast spread from end to end through barren grainy lands. Encompasses a traverse through this hatcheries land. Covered by horror's grace, wild runs, show jogs on frolics. Not all seen is as it seems. Beams dim when Osiris agents present presence top floor. Vast spread from end to end through barren grainy lands. Encompasses a traverse through this hatcheries land. Covered by horror's grace, wild runs, show jogs on frolics. Not all seen is as it seems. Beams dim when Osiris agents present presence top floor, nonetheless. The freshness of normally quench the thirst from horror's vex. Here resides a Manuan, a people left after the great clash, governed by God's west to north. Caught in a vice, heavy prices paid, remains laid, carcass displayed around outbounds. Invisible dome protect, props inspect, looking for a moment not to disrespect as all eyes are watching. The desert is prowling, deciding which crop it should be snatching, carry in batches while in styling to wander into the desert with the sand towards the eyes, acting like a flirt, a pest that is blocking your line, hindering your ability to be alert, wandering. Takes a lot of energy to exert. Covered by horror's race, wild runs, Russian jogs on frolics, not all seen is as it seems. Beams dim when Osiris agents present presence top floor, nonetheless. The freshness of normally quench the thirst from horror's vex.